And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Got to remind you to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And there's a PayPal link down there for anybody who wants to share some love. Everything is appreciated. And we're not going to do a panel today. I just wanted to do a short video to explain some correlations here with my recent activities of getting with community leaders and stuff. And we've got our brother Butt Crack News Network is live down in Des Moines at the moment, and he's addressing an issue that I want to go over. And what I want to do is I want to relate it to, like I said, our current situation here locally, as far as I'm dealing with the leaders of the community. Yesterday, I had my meeting with the mayor, and consequently after that, I went over to the county courthouse to meet with the district attorney. Well, the district attorney wasn't in, so I had a little meeting with a few of his underlings, and it got to the level of the assistant district attorney. And like I said yesterday, he wanted to make statements like he's heard plenty from me, and I had to let him know, no, you haven't heard the end of me at all. I'm going to be at every city council meeting and every county commissioner meeting I can make, because this is going to stop. And what I'm talking about is when he placates that they don't have anything to do with the federal criminal laws and stuff. And that's bullshit. 18 U.S.C. 4. Let me pull that up, and we're going to take a look at that real quick as it relates to the very concept of morality. And so what I'm talking about is the opposing dynamics of the commandments that thou shalt not bear false witness on thy brother. And in not bearing false witness, if you cover up evidence that would implicate that somebody is a danger to the community, then you too, or that something is causing harm upon the community, then you too are guilty of the opposing dynamic, that you didn't bear false witness, but you allowed false witness to be bared upon others. See, you're not the one bearing the false witness, but you see it and then you don't do anything about it. See, you have a moral duty above and beyond anything that Congress made under that Constitution, which is merely rules for government. And even in those rules for government, as we see here, 18 U.S.C. 4, misprision of felony. And it's very simple. It's one comment about a paragraph long. And it says, whoever, having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States. See, again, I urge everybody to understand your venue is not with the state courts, but with the federal court, the Supreme Court of the United States, because they're the ones that have to cognize whether that is a felony. And it says conceals and does not, as soon as possible, make known to the same, or known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. So again, I urge everybody to understand it's the selective service that all of these men have a selective service number. The women, I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't have the ability to look that up. But I do know that when my companion went through certain cases in court in the past, they brought up a military record to make sure, and there was no military record. That tells me she didn't have a selective service number. Otherwise, that would be a record in a system of records known as a military record. It's all plain language, folks. But again, like I said, in regards to my companion, she was part of the civil service. She was a special education teacher for 30-some years. The misprision of felony in any case is when somebody points out to you that a felony is committed, there's material data evidence of it, and nobody's doing anything about it that's supposed to do something about it. See, you're the public officials, you're the trustees, you're supposed to do something about it. I'm the benefactor, and I'm the one that has to point it out to you and show you that you're incompetent, negligent, or operating under malfeasance and misfeasance of trust, not contract. That's in there too. That's breach of contract with your contract with the state or the United States or the international global postal trust services that you are ultimately obligated under. For everything you post to all of your accounts, known as a system of records, keeping accounts of the events that occurred through that record keeping. You can keep my mouth or my name and my companion's name out of your mouth. You want to convert it and then pin it back on us. That is bearing false witness. And when I show it to you and you say you ain't going to do nothing about it, that's doubling up on it. That lets people like me know that you're supporting the theft because you know about it and you have a duty to report it. But because you happen to work with that clerk that is making that conversion knowingly or unknowingly, I don't care. It's called bearing false witness. So, and somehow, let me get back to that. Misprision of felony, just so everybody can see it, 18 U.S.C. 4. I'm terrible at this, guys. Whoever having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals or does not as soon as possible make known to the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority, telling us that you don't have the ultimate authority and that you do have people above you that you are supposed to report this stuff to, and your failure to do so after you've been given notice is misfeasance and malfeasance of your trust for the breach of contract with your superior authority under the United States. Like I said yesterday, your municipalities, your towns, townships, counties, they have to have a charter on the Federal Register showing that they have communication both with Congress and the Federal Reserve so they can operate in that all bonds, obligations, and other securities of the United States at 18 U.S.C. 8. Under 18 U.S.C. 5, United States is defined. The term United States, as used in this title in a territorial sense, includes all places and waters, continental or insular, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And the United States, again, is a corporate entity. You cannot be subject to the United States as a corporate entity any more than you can be subject to the authority of Walmart without being an employee. So again, keep claiming that you're a resident, a federal, state, or municipal officer or agent whose resident presence is deemed necessary by the board, and I'm going to keep calling you a liar. Keep claiming that you are a United States citizen without knowing that a United States citizen is a United States business subject to the United States. And I'm going to keep calling you a liar. It's plain writing. The next one, 18 U.S.C. Code 6, Department and Agency defined. As used in this title, the term department means one of the executive departments enumerated in Section 1 of Title 5. Again, employees. Unless the context shows that such term was intended to describe the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the government. And under 5 U.S.C. 552A, it talks about records maintained on individuals. Again, remember the term individual. We're going to go over that later today, too. The term agency includes any department, independent establishment, the individual, commission, administration, authority, board, authority. That's an interesting one. Don't they get their authority under year of the Bible professes that the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, is based upon the scriptures? Isn't that the authority? Board or Bureau of the United States, or any corporation in which the United States has a proprietary interest. So again, like we spoke of yesterday, the real party in interest. In the interest of the United States, for the account of the United States, and for the person making the same. The real party in interest as it accords to the proprietary interest of the United States and their system of records. All of them. Unless the context shows that such term was intended to be used in more limited sense. 18 U.S.C. 7. Special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States defined. Includes the high seas and any other waters within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state, and any vessel belonging in whole or in part to the United States or any citizen thereof, or to any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof, when such vessel is within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state. And who do you think that is, folks? Is that, again, the Postal Service under the Post Office, the registered agent already known as the trustee of the International Trust? Any vessel registered, licensed, or enrolled under the laws of the United States and being on a voyage upon the waters of the Great Lakes or any waters connecting them, or upon the St. Lawrence River where the same constitutes the international boundary line. Any lands reserved or acquired for the use of the United States. Don't they claim all the forest lands, all the mountain national parks and all that? Under the exclusive or concurrent jurisdiction thereof, or any place purchased or otherwise acquired by the United States by consent of the legislator of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of a fort, magazine, arsenal, dockyard, or other needful building. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Any island, rock, or key. Remember, I talked about the keys of Admiralty, the Admiralty Islands, and how they're constructed. Did you know that's what it's based on? Is the boundaries between land and water. What's the boundary? Is there a boundary of land and water? Didn't Jesus walk on water? What's the significant philosophical concept there? What's the key? Know thyself. If you know thyself and you know yourself to be a stranger and a sojourner with him, remember the footprints in the sand. Anytime you have a problem and you think you're walking alone, think again. He is my island, he is my rock, he is my key, and I shall not waver. Any aircraft belonging in whole or in part to the United States, and now we're bringing in the border between the land, air, and water. What's the border there? See where I'm going? You can't separate them and say you don't have a right here that you don't have a right over here, or that you have a right here but you don't have that right here or here. You have the right to life, and that's every breath you take is an act of God. And no land shall be sold forever, for they are His. And again, we are strangers and sojourners with Him. And if you think he's going to carry us across the land in the footprints in the sand, what about when you can't swim? Or any citizen thereof. So now we see the citizen is subject to the air jurisdiction, aircraft belonging in whole or in part. Did you know that envelope could be conceived as an aircraft because it goes by air? Or to any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or any state, territory, district, or possession thereof, while such aircraft is in flight over the high seas or over any other waters within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state. Any vehicle, remember that lingua franca is a vehicular language. Therefore, the language is a vehicle. Any language used or designed for flight or navigation in space and on the registry of the United States pursuant to the Treaty on Principles governing the activities of states in the exploration and use of outer space. You know, this reminds me of the doctrine of discovery and how they need to give up on that. See, that's what the thing about 2013 was. I think the Vatican gave up on that concept of doctrine of discovery, but they're still pushing it because we haven't discovered things in outer space yet, including the moon and other celestial bodies in the Convention on Registration of Objects launched into outer space, while that vehicle is in flight, which is from the moment when all external doors are closed on Earth following embarkation until the moment when one such door is opened on Earth for disembarkation, or in the case of a forced landing, until the component or competent authorities take over the responsibility for the vehicle and for the persons and property aboard. Until the competent authorities take over the responsibility for the vehicle and for persons and property aboard. The vessels of the United States. So let's take a look at 18 U.S.C. 8, which is that obligation or other security of the United States defined. We're already quite familiar with that. Let's take a look at 18 U.S.C. 9, vessel of the United States defined. The term vessel of the United States, as used in this title, means a vessel belonging in whole or in part to the United States, or any citizen thereof, or any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof. Now, I have in my possession, folks, particular documentation of, oops, let me get back here. Particular documentation of material data evidence showing a seal indicating full faith and credit between the state and the United States. It's a document of title, and under the transfer of title laws in that very same code that I've spoken of before, expenses incidental to transfer of title to the agency. So that agency would be me. I'm presumed to be the agency, so that part is accomplished. Transfer of title with expenses incidental to transfer of title to United States. Or I could do it the other way. I could take that as a benefactor, the certificate as benefactor, and hand it over to the local municipal authorities to start the transaction of that expenses incidental to transfer of title to the agency. They are truly the agents. Federal, state, and municipal officers whose resident presence, officers and agents whose resident presence is deemed necessary by the board. They're the ones that have had the communication with the Department of Commerce and the Secretary of Treasury. So they're the ones that are responsible ultimately for that direct communication at the federal level. So let's take a look at this and understand that those vessels of the United States are already there. They're already chartered, and the one you're holding is an implication, and that implication is clear and discrete. State and United States instrumentality in form of a bond as an obligation or other security of the United States. And you get to issue it privately from your own private standpoint for a private placement, special deposit to extend credits. But it has to be in the hands of the right person. So it has to go to the United States to settle and clear all the accounts with any and all creditors, and the remainder goes back and gets resurrected in a merger with a new name, a new trust, a private trust, private revocable trust, and that title gets transferred to the United States Postal Service, the true trustee who is supposed to hold those titles. So they correlate and collateralize the real estate investment trust that backs that fidelity bond that's already in place between the Postal Service and the United States, the corporate entity. So we're going to take a look at our brother here in Des Moines running across the same situation as it relates to having the moral obligation to put information out there that they are blatantly hiding because of these very relative connections. So pay attention. We're going to let this run through again. Butt Crack News Network, BUTT space CRACK space news NEWS space network NETWORK on YouTube. Check him out.
Got 3 cops coming out here. Yep. Maybe one of them could help me, because I do have a separate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I came here previously, and I was told to wait around,
Okay.
and I'm going to get an email, and I never got it.
Okay.
So I've been waiting for weeks,
Okay.
and I'm here about some public information. So there is
Okay.
a sex offender. Now this isn't just like minor sex offense. This is a crime against children. He
Mhm.
has.
And so we are talking about a very serious crime, a heinous crime. And this is what these people will do to save their ass while they're raping and allowing others to rape your children. Excuse me if that sounds like a bold fucking language, but it's pretty fucking bold that they would try to hide this shit. It's pathetic. It's a disgrace.
2 different child porn charges, and he also has a restraining order against a minor. A minor girl took a restraining order against him.
Okay.
So that's 3 indications that, if you guys have children and your children are walking the streets, you don't want this guy interacting with your children. Nobody
Flow
wants,
State.
A sex
Greetings.
offender to be out there. And when I tried to research this guy, everything is being buried. The news article is buried. I went to the courthouse to get information. The record is sealed. There was a news article written about this, and that was completely deleted from the internet.
And 18 U.S.C. 4 as a misprision of felony. Again, it's only a 3-year sentence, and that seems kind of light. But when you start digging into it and you start pulling out the other codes and you get into 20 and 30-year sentences, and when it comes to situations like this where they actually have violent crimes against children, the courts can particularly decide in certain situations to give lifetime sentences.
So it leaves me no choice but to come here and try to figure out some information. And you're probably wondering why is all this happening? It's because Brody Thomas Hartwig, his dad, is Jeffrey D. Hartwig of the Marion, Iowa Police Department. And they.
You guys catch that? His dad, the predator, his dad is of the police department. And they're hiding the information to save grace. You can't save grace. See, grace is the favor of the Lord. And if you're violating the Lord's children, I'm going to expose it as best I can, just like this man here is. But all glory goes to God, even in his vengeance. I'll let him decide how you're going to get fucked.
they don't want to make the cop look bad by showing what his son did. But unfortunately, you know, crime against children is crime against children. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a cop or not. It's you guys all agree it's wrong. You know, you should never enable a sexual crime against a minor. That's, you know, I mean, we're all on the same page about that.
Sure.
I mean,
Totally
you guys-
understand. So what are you trying to get?
I'm trying to get some information about Brody Thomas Hartwig because I noticed
If the court order, if the court record is sealed, you're gonna have to go through the court to get that. We don't have control of that.
Yep, and I'm not asking for the court record. I know there's certain information that is legally public and it cannot be private. Information such as the address, the picture, the name, the date of arrest, the offense. And since all this stuff is scrubbed from the internet, I have no choice but to come in here and try to get it from you guys.
So who investigated the case?
If I remember correctly, the Cedar Rapids, Iowa Police Department investigated it.
So we don't have those case files here. Those are in Cedar Rapids.
But there is your guys' database. He does come up in the database.
Yeah, Des Moines is the capital, and that is the Department of Criminal Investigation. And that's where your records are kept. State Department, the Attorney General, they have the base file for all state records. And this is part of the problem. They want to use this left-hand, right-hand bullshit. I don't give a fuck. You're all part of the trust. You better start doing your goddamn job.
The sex offender registry?
Yeah, yep. So he comes up on the 2021 sex offender registry, but then when you go to 2022, there's nothing on there. But he is required to register in that registry in addition to another one for 10 years straight. So the fact.
Oops. So not only are they trying to hide it internally, but they're trying to hide it publicly. That's a material alteration of records that violate the law. So there's another felony, and that one there, I believe, is 20 years.
The fact that he is not on the 2022 registry tells me that something is seriously wrong. He's either, you guys are covering it up, he didn't register, or if he did move to a state like Colorado, there's an obligation for that address to be public.
Absolutely, Dean.
Children in Colorado.
So you would have to talk to somebody with the sex.
This is what I'm talking about here, Dean. When we're talking about this stuff, and I lost my video again. Damn it, guys. Oh, well, we'll just do without it. When you guys are in the military, ladies and gentlemen, for those that are entering the military when you shouldn't, ladies, that's not for you. My opinion, of course, very strong one, but my opinion. And when you get out of that military service and they give you that discharge, I don't care if it's honorable or not. If it's a discharge, they tend to work in two ways. It's a discharge or a release for civil services. Okay, so there's two operations there. Understand the terms. The release is to release your personal services for those signatures again. They still need your signature. That's a personal service to incorporate the person into an investment to create money. That's the very foundation of it. If you discharge, that's a different operation, and now you can enforce the credit side. I urge you to understand how to do it before you go demanding it, because ain't nobody else going to show you. That's why I'm trying to. None of these people will. Most of them don't know.
Sex offender registry with the DCI.
Yeah, and this is what I'm here for.
Okay. Well, I don't. Is there somebody even here with the DCI today? SOR.
I was here on a conference call and I gave him our generic BPS business card with Hunter's name, title, and then I suggested he call next week and make an appointment with Hunter because
we wouldn't.
Appointment we can't guarantee there's someone here to visit with.
Yeah, they're the ones that would oversee that information. We don't, on the state patrol side, we don't manage that information.
I'm just trying to get any information about this. I'm not saying I want the whole court record, you know, just even verification that he lives in Colorado, you know, so then the people in Marion can send their children out and not have to worry about.
Yeah, you would have to talk to somebody.
See, and that's the important part. If they're really up for the community safety, for the betterment of the community over an individual. That's why they have that sex offender registry. So in effect, what they're doing is they're allowing one man and his devious acts be swept under a rug to create an even greater danger to another community, and don't tell them about it. That's just as vile as bearing false witness, is covering up the fact that Satan is walking into your town. Here he is. Granted, it's not Satan technically, but you get the point. He's not a good man, and he needs some help. Make sure he gets some help. Keep an eye on him 24/7. That's what Big Brother's supposed to do. They're not supposed to keep an eye on everybody 24/7 and try to grind everybody down into the dirt as if though that's their authority. You get your authority from the people. You better start learning that.
Somebody with the DCI that does SLR, which would be Hunter Ballin or one of the local field agents.
Okay, I've been here before, been
Yep.
waiting weeks, it's just a little, am I correct?
Do you have a card? Do you have a phone number?
I've
a
already
name?
given
Left it
that
all?
information, and
Well, I'd be glad to pass it on to Hunter.
well,
I mean-
I gave my email, I gave my name, and I waited, and there
Okay.
ain't nothing in my inbox. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over.
Well,
and thinking
either
you're
that or
gonna
you
get
can,
a different result.
there's an ISP info line you can send an email to.
Yep.
I think there may be a DCI email as well.
Is there an info line for DCI?
Yes, there is a DCI info, and I think probably. the
And
best
just so you know, DCI is Department of Criminal Investigations.
we spoke to when he was
Mitch
here,
Marvet.
a few weeks ago.
Okay, so I've been here.
Yeah. Well, I respect that. Like I said, there's not a whole lot we can do, but we also can't tolerate harassing the staff. I mean,
Harassing? Whoa. Harassing?
well, I don't know if you're harassing or whatever's going on.
So
We
I'm
obviously got
gonna
call out
take a
information.
little bit of a jump here. So
Okay.
most
Yeah, see, they like to use that strong language like I do, but they're a little loose with it. See, even in these guys, their decency and respect so far that we've seen, just the language itself shows that they have this internal concept that the people like our brother here are doing nothing but harassing people, while they contemplate that, yeah, the underlying conversation, or the patent I'll call it the patent conversation here, because it is the subject, is the crimes being held against the people so rigidly, and yet when it comes to these public servants, they're so loosely kept that they're actually proving to be the ones that are dangerous to the community for hiding up their own crimes of their own family members. Pathetic.
most receptionist jobs, like I know in Lynn County, the receptionist job, on the job title, it is listed, it is the receptionist job to
Yep.
take public information requests.
She's
which
more than
is
willing
what-
to take your request.
Well, harassment,
And that's why I pointed that out. Thank you for bringing that Imperium Privatus. I didn't know misprision is harassment and notice, and that's the exact thing. When I go down there and try to give them notice, and they sit there and say, "Well, I've heard plenty from you," or that we don't adhere to the federal laws. That's we have our own. No, you have your own charter, which is on the Federal Register. You damn well are supposed to abide by the laws of a corporate structure of the United States by that charter, and that's what tells me these are Article 1 courts. You refuse to acknowledge Article 3 common law courts, where there's supplemental facts that are given that beat the presumption and are to persuade you that you're doing something wrong, and you're ignoring it as if though you automatically have some authority, yet your authority comes from somebody higher, and you're saying you don't have that authority. Excuse me? You are incorporated under the federal laws as a municipality. And under that municipality, you were hired as a city attorney and a city clerk and a city executive. Those are emoluments. And under the county, the same thing. You're operating in a contract in a trust, and you're failing to recognize the trust is negligence, incompetence, or misprision and by evidence of malfeasance and misfeasance. When you refuse to listen to me, that is both misfeasance and malfeasance, already in malfeasance. And when I give you notice and you refuse to listen to me, now it's misfeasance. You better start listening to the people that are trying to give you information and not make accusations. I'm not bringing these charges. I'm giving you forewarning that by not listening to me and not reporting this as you're supposed to in your public service as the trustee, your failure to acknowledge the beneficiary or benefactor is the breach of trust, while at the same time breaching your contract by recognizing the very grantee, the United States, the federal government, including the United States Postal Service and the Postal Regulatory Commission, once again, for every word, every stroke that you post in those accounts.
Is contacting somebody without a legitimate purpose.
So my bad choice of words.
Okay, I appreciate you admitting responsibility
Okay.
for that. I appreciate that. I've
Okay.
been threatened with harassment before, and I know what the law is, and I know what I'm
Do
doing
you,
is.
do you need
not-
any forms filled out, Naomi? Is there anything we can?
I'm assuming that Mitch still has his contact information from when he spoke with him a few weeks ago, but do you have a business card or?
I mean, I can give you my information again. I don't really see the point, but I'll do it anyway, you know?
Okay, you want to just write your
Yep.
information? And then I can send an email to both Mitch, who you spoke to before, and Hunter, who
Yeah.
is the person you need to speak to now, and see if they can,
And you provided all the information on the individual that you're
Yes.
seeking information
Brody.
on to them?
Yep.
Okay.
Brody.
Can you make sure you write it on
Yep.
there
Well,
again for
we
us?
can, I'll follow up with Mitch as well.
I mean, I'm not asking for a lot, guys. I just.
No, I
you know,
totally understand.
A lot of
If it's-
people want to know where this
Yep.
guy lives.
Yep.
Like, I have a friend that lives in Marion, and she has
Mhm.
kids, and she just wants to know that she can send her kids out
Yep.
safely without
Yep.
this. Because the problem is that this guy never went to jail.
Never went to jail. Never went to jail. Meantime, guys get arrested all the time on false claims because of somebody in a popularity contest. We see it happening regularly. These are egregious acts against the children and the men of this nation. And a lot of it, I think, again, in my own opinion, again, a very strong opinion, but the women should be staying at home. Yeah, there are certain things they can come out in the community and do, of course. You know, we got the farmers markets and things like that where they could do the stay-ins and stuff. But when it comes to these public offices and these corporate activities, that's not for you, ladies, in my strong opinion. Guys, it's time to step up. Help this country understand who built this fucking nation to begin with was the men, not the women. And just because the men built it doesn't mean they built it for themselves. They built it for the women and children. I urge everybody to make that the foundation of your purpose in life to begin with again. It's not about making America great again. America is a fiction. The people have a greater duty than that even. Yeah, it's a good concept. I agree. Make America great again. But there's even something greater. I urge you.
No jail.
I'm not familiar with the case. I've never lived down in that area, so I'm
It's-
not.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, you do something against a sex offender, against a child, and you don't
Yeah.
go to jail. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we look in America anymore if it's going to be like that. You know,
Right.
that's the perfect person that belongs in a jail cell.
Mhm.
You guys
Agreed.
agree?
You can check with the county attorney's office in whatever county it occurred. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah, I've been to the courthouse and I've
Okay.
tried to get the court record and it's sealed. So,
Well, yeah, the county attorney would be the prosecutor, so.
Court record sealed, huh? How's that happen? Again, if you're required to be on the sex offender registry, how do they seal the case? People in government servitude can't understand normal thinking standards.
So I don't know if they could give you more information or not, but yeah, when the records are sealed, it's kind of hard to get information. I understand that.
So I got an email here. I got Brody Thomas Hartwig. And
You have an approximate date of birth or age or anything on him?
This is the individual, but
he
the
is
suspect, right?
He's not a suspect. He pled guilty. He pled guilty. He admitted that he did it, and he also has.
Yeah. See, while he's already been admitted guilty, he's now suspect for a new crime. Okay. Failure to file on the failure to register on the sex offender registry as ordered in court. And that's a new offense. So yeah, he's both. He's already convicted, and now he's suspected of another crime. That's why we're investigating. See, that's what I love telling him. I forgot to tell him that at the city council meeting. That was one of the main points I wanted to let him understand, is that you're no longer investigating me. You can if you want, but I'm here now investigating you. And I ain't no spring chicken. I know how to make my voice heard. I know how to write it down in concise English, and it will be heard.
Restraining order against him
Yep.
from a minor child. So that's 3 indications that this is some sort of sick pervert that
You want that? Or
is out on the streets because they don't want to take him to jail because his dad is a cop. And he doesn't want to make the cop look bad. But I mean, at the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And yes,
Mary,
Jeff D. Hartwig is the Marion, Iowa police officer, and his son is Brody Thomas Hartwig.
Okay. How did you get the information on that they didn't arrest him because of the father? Do you know?
Well, so they there is a article by the Gazette. I want to say her name is Trish, if I remember, Trish McAfee. You can't find it online. You'll never ever find it online. I have a friend that it's basically like a copying machine where every day it takes everything on the internet and it copies it and it keeps like a log or an archive, so you can go back 3 years ago, see what the internet says. So when they do delete these articles, you can find them and pull them up again. And that's how I got this article.
Okay.
And I've researched it on Iowa courts. I've done all my homework.
Right. Yeah. No, I was trying to get my.
I assume his name's still in Iowa courts online.
Yeah. Yep.
It just doesn't. You can't get any information.
Yeah, it's a sealed case. And it just really disturbs me.
So he went to court, but he was never arrested.
No, well, so here's the thing too. He actually wasn't arrested because his dad's a cop. He just got to go in there, take a picture, and never had to go to jail. It's horrible.
Yeah, the way it sounds, and again, this is why we're investigating this stuff, is because it sounds like in this case, he didn't even get a summons to appear in court. He was just taken in, not fully booked, just a photograph, and then sent home with daddy. Pathetic.
Well, that's the
Beta cucking for each other.
one person that belongs in a jail cell. I mean, but they just, and there's 2 different.
Can't be a real man and bring his child up by the rod so he doesn't waver from the way of the Lord. Because he wasn't brought up that way himself. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. These people don't know a thing about God.
Different mugshots of them. There's one in July 2021, and there's a second one that I don't have any information for. And when I look up the registry, I see all the sex offenders on there. I see their name, I see their address, I see their crime, and I see Brody Hartwig Thomas in 2021, but there's a separate photo of a different year, and there's nothing to that photo.
Do you know the approximate date of the offenses?
I came in here last time with the news article. I don't have it now,
Okay.
but
Sure.
I want to say the offenses happened. The charge was in 2021.
Okay.
I don't, as I said, I came up with the exact article before, but yeah, it was 2021, and I think the events happened in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 years just to bring the charges. So he was literally taken in, photographed, and then let go home with dad. And then 2 years later, they were finally able to bring charges. And yet he still wasn't arrested that time either.
You said it was a juvenile, like approximate age?
So the charge I'm talking about happened after he was 18. So
After he was 18.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as far as the child, though, you said it was a sex offense against a child.
yeah, it was against a minor.
And so approximately how old, do you know?
I want to say they were 10.
So he and the other subject was 10 at the time?
He
No,
was
he was an adult.
Yeah,
The other
he was an
individual
adult.
10 years old.
There was one where he was 17.
See, this guy knows something about it. He knew. See, he knows what's going on. He's familiar with it. He came right out and gave information. See, generally they'll sit there and remain quiet, but because his partner asked, he automatically, like I said, beta cucking to each other. He automatically answered him and gave him information that he obviously already knew, and he did so confidently.
And one when he was 18, and one of these 18 shouldn't be buried. I mean, even the one that he's 17, there's a lot of laws that say for those types of offenses, even though it's a minor, you still have to make it public.
Sure.
And I see minor kids on the registry all the time.
Okay.
So it just really disturbs me at how his crimes are being covered up by the media and by the courts and by the police department, all to make Jeff D. Hartwig look good. He's a sergeant.
Okay.
And, you know, it just makes me sick to my stomach.
Sure.
There's people in jail for trespassing, interference with official
Well.
acts, stuff like that, you know.
And we all know the court system. I mean, most of us have been dealing with it for years, and different cases have different outcomes for different reasons. I mean,
Well, I'm going to go home and wait. And if I don't have an email in 2 weeks more, I'm going to come back. And
Okay.
that's not harassment.
nope, it's
You know,
not.
That's if you don't give me
Yeah, and that's not harassment, because what he's doing here, like I said, the first duty in law is legal notice. That's all we're doing is giving them legal notice.
I mean, then there's a record.
But again,
And if they fail to respond to that legal notice as trustees in this trust, like I said, you point out somebody's committing a felony and they don't do anything about it, and they are now both in breach of contract to their greater authority that granted them to the operating ability through those communications to perform a public service, and therefore the breach of trust as well,
again, we just want to,
particularly when it's against a benefactor. Even if there's a breach of trust or breach of contract against another trustee in that trust, or even against one of the greater fiduciaries, one of their superiors, there's, breach of contract and breach of trust. Like I said, every contract is significant in that it is evidence of a trust somewhere.
state again that we don't control that on the ISP side. That'd be more our DCI side.
Yep.
So we were trying to help you, but we don't have access to that information. There's certain case file information that we don't even get. So we couldn't give that access to you if we don't have it. So that's all I'm saying, is just bearing in mind that we're not trying to hide anything. There's nothing for us to be.
Yeah, I know
able to
you
give
guys don't work
Right.
for DCI,
Yeah,
but
so-
I know that you work with them, and
We do.
you
Yeah,
could
we
be.
do.
No, but what they're failing to realize here is that they're supposed to step up and help this man in his investigation. They're not supposed to stand there and give excuses. Well, we can't do anything. Bullshit. You're required to go to your greater authority and give them the details of the felony that is obvious, that you have material fact evidence of. It's in your records. It's time to quit covering each other's ass.
Be like, hey, can you print something out? And they probably do it.
And you got three of us here, so Monday we'll make sure we touch base with them and say, hey, we chatted with them.
I mean, do you guys think I'm asking for
Follow-
anything
follow up.
unreasonable here or anything out of the ordinary?
Well, I mean, if the facts that you're presenting to us are true, and he's supposed to be on the registry, it's
It
a
should
good
be on the
question.
registry.
I mean,
Because there's two different ways he's
So-
got to register. There's one
Mhm.
system, and then there's another system he needs to be in for 10 years. And I had the term, but I don't know what that is.
I know what you're talking about. I mean, we see it all the time, but I'm not familiar with the term.
Okay, well, I'm
Like I
gonna
said,
I'm
so
gonna
deal with it.
end that, and
So
you-
the case is sealed, though. It sounds like somebody sealed the case.
there's multiple cases, but the one that I went to was sealed. And then there's another case, which is a deferred judgment, which wouldn't be on there.
Mhm.
But still, there's the arrest record, and you still got to be on the registry, even if you're deferred. You still, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter, but it's still.
I don't know. I mean, like I
Hunter
said, I
will be
know
able to give you
there's a code. I'd have to look up to see what it
Right.
says.
Yeah, and
like
last
said, we
time
don't
I
deal
read
with
it,
that.
there's a list of things: name, address,
Yep.
photo, it's non-negotiable, minor, deferred, and just the fact that it's not on there. Like, this sex offender is out.
Mhm.
Nobody knows where he is. We got the 2021 register. Where is this guy in 22? Where is he at in 23? Where is he at in 24? Like, how are people supposed to
Have you
stay
guys
safe?
tried any public access information to be able to track him at all?
We've done like, when I say he lives in Karat, I've done that, but like, you don't really know when you see a Facebook post or you see some online. I come here to get my facts straight because you
Yeah.
cannot trust everything you see online.
I agree.
Really?
I agree. I would agree with you.
Unless it's live, then
Yeah.
then,
Then
you're
it's
gonna
live. Yeah,
try-
it's the gospel then,
yeah,
right?
you
Okay.
can't change it. You know,
It's gospel then. Yeah. No, I was just curious if you guys had tried to get.
yeah,
Any
many
public-
hours. There's a large
public-
group of people that's researching this.
Okay.
You know, I've got a whole team of people that are digging into this. I don't have access to that archive. It's my friend that went in that archive, and
Sure.
like, people are looking and they're not finding anything.
Hmm.
And what's there is just so heavily censored and covered up, you know, that it forces somebody to come here and just
Sure.
try to understand.
So are you, just for my own awareness, you know, are you going to try to post that so people in the area do know where he is? I mean, if we're
I
concerned
never
about
thought
the-
about that.
if we're concerned about the children in the area, I think you have a due diligence to let the people in the area know that he's.
So we're finding out again, and this is imperative to understand this stuff, folks. We're talking about literally doxing somebody, but it's for the benefit of the community and for the protection of the very children of our future generations, so they don't have to grow up and be subjected to the same insanity. That's what it is, folks. This is insanity that full-grown adults do this kind of shit and allow this kind of shit simply because they have some kind of popularity code, some kind of motivation in the monetary system. Again, it's a disgrace.
He's a sex
But
offender.
you
would you
have
agree?
a fine line with that law where you can't harass them or.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, if we're truly at the core, our desire is to find this man so that we can make sure he's not offending other children or other people. I think you have an obligation
Yeah.
to make that known.
Yeah, I've already made a video about it.
Okay.
I've made multiple
Okay.
videos. I've
Well,
spoken
that's-
at a city council meeting about it. So
Right.
they all know,
Right.
you know, and I think he lives in Colorado. The internet's telling me he lives in Colorado, but
Okay.
that's just kind of.
And yes, like I said, this is Butt Crack News Network. Go check him out on YouTube. And like he said, he's done several videos. And if you review his videos, you'll find out exactly what he's talking about. These people all know about it. Like I said, this guy over here knows about it. This guy may or may not. I don't know. But it would seem that he would. Even though it's in Cedar Rapids, this guy knew about it. And remember, this is in Des Moines, state capital. So it reverberates through their jurisdictions in some manners. Some of these people are in the know. They do connect. They do warn each other, hey, this is going to be coming through. Do this, this, and this. And like I said, when it comes to the municipality, the structure of the government there is the mayor is the executive officer, but he has no authority. The authority goes to the city attorney. And then the city attorney is the one with the authority that allows the executive officer to join with the clerk and make issues known as state and local government securities. Those are the municipal bonds. So he has to go through the clerk. The mayor has to go through the clerk, but the go-between is the attorney. Same with the county. The county has a board of directors with its commissioner, who is the executive officer, executive chair, but the board is the one that takes the votes and does all the hiring, not the executive. So here we have the board with the commissioner, and that would be the executive positions, and then the county attorney, and then the court clerk. Same capacities. Operates the same way. The board and its executive commissioner or executive director, they have no power except through the county attorney. That's where the authority comes. The authority is written in legalese.
Like It all started off on a Facebook post. I found
Huh.
this Facebook post that talked about he was so pissed that the cop's son didn't go to jail for doing crimes against children. And then there was a Facebook post, but then when I started to find the court case and I found the mugshot, then it's like, okay, well,
Sure.
this isn't just a Facebook post.
Yep.
This is a real thing, and it's covered up.
This is just like another reporter found this, or like one of the victim's family, or
Oh, there's just something
just a
really
citizen from Colorado.
I'm trying to think. I think my friend sent me. I heard about this years ago,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I just kind of brushed it off. But
Years ago when it was first happening, and now that the years have gone by, the guy moved out of the community, like I said, and didn't register, and they're hiding it there. I mean, that kid is obviously a danger to that community, and that community doesn't even know, and nobody will let him know where he's living. See, just like these guys have a moral obligation under 18 U.S.C. 4, misprision of felony, the people inherently have that greater responsibility of making sure these guys are doing it. So therefore, they must hold up to that standard first. This is why I say you do not want to be my friend. I will hold you to the same standards I hold myself to. And damn it, if I have to go hungry, so will you. We must work together so neither of us does. That's the problem. Nobody wants to work together for prosperity. They want to work on their own and gather everything up for themselves. That's not letting your cup welleth over. That's greed and gluttony, popularity and fame, the money system. You can have it all. But at the end of the day, you better remember Job, not job.
now I know who Jeff D. Hartwig is. Because the problem is this offense occurred in 2019, and at that same time, his department that he worked for, there was a sexual harassment lawsuit, and the chief resigned, and they got sued. So this guy, Jeff D. Hartwig, he's got child porn at home, all kinds of sexual deviance, and he goes to work, and he's got a sexual harassment lawsuit, and it really makes you wonder, like, the common denominator is Jeff Hartwig.
So the officer had child porn?
So the officer lived with his son.
So the common denominator here is what he's pointing out. And again, this goes to my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And if you're not going to be a priest unto me, then I have to deny you. And if you're not going to be a priest unto me to your children, I have to deny them too. It's the same concept. So if they're going to find your children guilty, it's because you didn't bring them up in the ways of the Lord. That's why he wavered, because you wavered.
Okay.
Pays the internet, pays the cell phone. So, I mean, like, I know if I had a kid and I had the internet in my name and I had the phone in my name and there was child porn on there, I would probably be in a lot of trouble for having it in my house.
Remember, I can't. year and a half ago, some young man went in and did some shooting and killed himself, but they went after his mom and dad. Now they've got their mom and dad locked up because of a similar situation. Now, granted, mom and dad might actually be fucking guilty of that, but that's the same situation. Again, if you're not going to bring your children up in the ways of the Lord, you're guilty of not following the ways of the Lord. And again, that's just an opinion. Again, it goes to the moral standards and not the ways of the Lord. I don't care what religion or what spirituality you follow. The ways of the Lord is a moral standpoint in all religions, no matter what Lord you're referring to. It's talking about standing up to a greater truth, acting like an adult, and being a protector, both as men and women, for the children ultimately. Keep your houses in order.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to prosecute somebody just because they have it in their home. If you're participating in something that's illegal, right? Let's say you're driving down the road, he's got illegal drugs in the car, and you don't know about it. Should you go to jail?
Nope, that's what happens if there is drugs found in the car and I'm driving and he doesn't take responsibility for it. It's on the driver.
It's on both of you.
Well, and also parents are responsible for their kids.
Right, I agree. So,
I mean, because he was rated.
This is what they get, what they use for why they use accomplice and after the fact or during the fact You know, if you're complicit, then you're guilty. Same thing again. If you're not going to train your children up in the right ways, you are complicit. You're the one failing your duty in moral standings. This is why we have so much bullying in the schools. Everybody's got their own dogmatic views and think that their children can stand up to them against everybody else. Then when they bring that bullshit home, oh my goodness, now it's the kid that's a tyrant. You're misplacing the tyranny. It's your own damn fault.
If I remember correctly, 2 different times.
Again, just my opinion, boys and girls. Or are you full-grown boys and girls as adults? It's time to think about that and realize whether you've got certain responsibilities due to nature or due to some contract.
So he was aware, and I can't confirm or deny, but I may or may not have an inside source in the department that's feeding me information. I can't tell you, but
Sure.
I found enough to know this is true.
Okay.
This is definitely not a Facebook
Yep.
post. This is a real thing.
Yeah. Well, I would, like I said, out of the goodness of your heart, if you do find this man and that is true, I think you need to make everybody in the area know that that's true.
And I will. I'm just going to
So if he thinks that the common man, the common living soul that's going around doing these investigations and finding this information, if he thinks he has a moral obligation as a good man to expose that and dox that man, as they call it, don't they have, at least even in their own superior line of thinking, the law applies to thee and not to me, that they would have a greater authority and greater responsibility to do so? Heaven forbid that officer who let his son and all the other people that support that officer and that son in getting away with this, heaven forbid someday that officer have grandchildren, and because that son, he let his son get away with it, he turns around and molests his very own grandchildren. Is he going to hide him again? I mean, that hits a little bit closer to home. What the fuck are these people thinking about? Nothing but themselves.
Surely he said it's not harassment or something.
Okay.
because-
Well, I mean, even if, right?
yeah, I've already done it.
So let me make it very plain and clear. When it comes to 18 U.S. Code 4, misprision of felony, and the Supreme Court stating that these people don't have a duty to protect, the fuck they don't. Make it very clear. Everybody has a moral obligation. When we bow down to the personality, the cult of personality, and think we have no moral obligation and we're just doing our job, again, I'll remind you, we are slowly becoming Hitler's willing executioners.
I don't want to harass somebody, but if your motive is truly to here today is to a man, if he is a predator, and you're concerned about a child, you
And you
morally have
verify the information is all true and correct.
Yep. You have a moral obligation to make sure that the people around him know that.
So I made a video that got 34,000
So they've reiterated it several times. You have a moral obligation to the people around you.
views. Marion has 40,000 people. So,
Yep.
34,000 people watch that video, plus the lives, plus this.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure everybody knows.
Yep. So,
And it's a public record too for the city council meeting. So it's definitely people, they all know.
well, it sounds like you're trying to do a good thing. I appreciate that.
it. Yeah.
And we'll see if we can't get that information over the SOR, and we can get you the information you need.
Yeah, and on a completely separate subject, I'm glad you guys are down here. It's just by chance that you're here. So I got pulled over by an Iowa State patrolman in summer of 22.
Okay.
He made up some false accusations about me, so I wanted to get his dash cam. And I went through all the channels. I did a FOIA. I went down to Iowa State Patrol in Cedar Rapids, and I contacted a woman here. I forget what her name is, but she didn't want to tell me who her boss was.
Okay.
And they all just didn't want to give it up.
So that.
And he goes mute like that because at that point he's probably giving out some personal information as it relates to that report that he was requesting. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and end it. Again, my apologies for my screen not working here, but I just wanted to get the point across, folks. These people have an obligation both under the contractual side of the law or always, in all ways, excuse me, under the contracts of law, the trust of law, as well as the moral obligation, which is where the spirituality comes in. You have a spiritual obligation as it comes to morals, where it's the merits of your actions, which is the spiritual credence. That is where we get our grace. So if anybody talks about the favor and grace, it is the all glory goes to God. That is the original source of all credit, even in the word of truth. I urge everybody, learn how to bring the greater truth to the surface so that people cannot deny it, and I guarantee you they will start fleeing. And with that, we come to the end of this stream. I'll see everybody tonight at 6. We're going to go over some real party of interest information from Washington law and kind of finish up or help solidify yesterday's stream on real party and interest. And so we'll see you tonight at 6. Remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal button down in the details. Would certainly appreciate all the help I can get. Every little bit is appreciated. And with that, you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's just to say I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night. See you later.